At this point, nobody should be surprised with the list that Beccacece brought out today with the unexplainable call-ups, but I'm not going to try to keep it all negative. I'm going to share a couple of things that I do like about it, and I'm going to be breaking down player by player whether I think they're good, mid, or bad. At the end of the video, I will also be sharing the starting lineup I'd like to see versus Brazil. Having 4 goalkeepers on the list has to be probably the strangest thing that Beccacece did. He has Galíndez, Ramírez, Cabezas, and Valle, 3 of which are pretty justified. And Ramírez, obviously the one that everybody is scratching their head about. Off the top of my head, it's strange for 2 reasons. One, he pretty much knows all 4 of these goalkeepers. So it's not like he's bringing somebody new that he has never seen, has never called up, has never interacted with, has never had the chance to coach. But that's not the case here. Second, it doesn't make any sense because we know how our striker situation is. Not only do we have 2 attacking players that are injured and might not make the game, but whether they're injured or not, Ener Valencia is the only one that's actually scoring for us on the attack. So you would think that instead of having 4, he would keep the 3 and bring in an additional attacking player, which would make the most sense. And I know that in the comments I had a lot of people say, oh, they just want to call him because they want to sell Ramirez and that's the only reason. And I guess, obviously that there's a chance that that may be true, but I don't think so, just because if that were the case, you would see Independiente play him more, but he doesn't even play that much for them. He is a bench goalkeeper. So, if you're wanting to promote a sale, you would think that his own club would play him and start him and have him in these important games. So for my goalkeepers, I'll have Galíndez on the top as good for obvious reasons. I'll have Cabezas and Valle in the midsection, and I think that Valle might have the upper hand just because of the international exposure with Liga de Quito, where he had a fantastic performance. So he's like literally on the border of being good and mid, but we'll keep him in the mid for now. And obviously Ramirez is a bad call up. But also for Cabezas, I'll keep him in the mid, but I definitely want to see some sort of involvement in these games. Probably not the 2 that are coming up, but maybe once the qualifications are over and then we're in the friendlies, it'll be good to see him in action. And who knows, maybe he'll be up on the good section or in the bad in the games to come. For defenders, he has Preciado, Cristian Ramirez, Arriaga, Pacho, Hincapié, Ordóñez, Torres, Estupiñán, and Medina. And to start with the bad, I will put Arriaga on that section. I don't see why he was called up. He did have a good couple of games with Barcelona, but there were a couple of games that I watched, especially in the Libertadores, where the defending was just not good. And I know that maybe before I was actually thinking that he deserved it, and he had some good performances before, but as a couple of games went on, I don't know, I think he lost it, and I don't know, obviously Beccacece has him because he likes to have him around. He feels maybe that the team benefit from his presence and maybe brings the team together, and that's all good, and you definitely want to have that, but to have players come on the roster because of that, I don't know, there has to be some other team bonding type of thing that you can do with when it doesn't have to do with the player having to do that. And another reason is you literally kept them off of the official roster versus Chile. So this is kind of like one of the strange things that I don't understand from Beccacece. Like, he'll make the call-ups, but then he'll exclude people that he had on the official roster on game day, but then I'll have them back. Like, if you didn't find them to the standards or to the quality to have them on the official game day roster, why are they still getting called up? In the mid tier, I'll add Ramirez and Medina. They're mid players for me because they don't generally make an impact when they go in, and that's not the case with every sub. Some subs go in and they make an instant impact, or they contribute to the team. And for the most part, I get the impression that, well, at least for Ramirez right now, he normally goes in just because players are tired, and Medina obviously is still growing as a player, so we still have to see that from him, but that's why I'll keep them in the mid. And then the obvious good tier would be Pacho, Hincapié, Ordóñez, and probably Torres and Preciado. Torres is always going to be a player that is reliable, and even though he might not be a starting player, he is one of those subs that can generally hold it down, and you're not going to get too much of a difference with him. And Preciado, I think that he is a player that some question on why he's there. Some feel that maybe it's too early for him to be there. He hasn't had enough time with his team. And I mean, the season just ended and he's just, in the process of recovery. So I'll have him as good. And the reason for that is because it was really evident that we missed those runs down the right in the last two games. Ordóñez did, I think, to the best of his abilities, but it was pretty clear that we missed Preciado, so hopefully we get that back this time around. Almost forgot about Pervis. Obviously, he's on the good tier. In the midfield, we have Mendes, Franco, Caicedo, Vite, Ramirez, Pais, Minda, Plata, Yeboah, Mercado, Castillo, and Angulo. To start, I'll have Mendes in the bad tier, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. His performance has been not good. His club has just been bad in general, and he hasn't done anything to help. Franco, I don't know. I think he's on the border of good and mid for me, but I guess I'll put him in the good just because defensively he does a lot, and he doesn't tend to lose the ball when he has it, but that's also because he doesn't like to risk it. And I think that's what keeps him in the border for me. But he is more of a defensive-minded player, but just because you're a defensive-minded player doesn't mean that you can't risk a little bit more or show a little bit more creativity. Because you look at Caicedo, who is another defensive-minded player in general, but he helps out in the attack, and he scored, so I mean, obviously Caicedo's going to be on the good tier. Pedro Vite is going to be on the good tier for obvious reasons. Brian Ramirez I will put in the mid tier just because I guess we haven't seen him for the national team yet. For Liga de Quito, I guess he has good performances here and there, but he was definitely a surprise for me to see on the list. For Minda, I think we all agree that he is a good tier player. He is back. He was missed in the left, and I'm sure he'll do great things for us in these next two games. Plata, with no fault of his own, is unfortunately going to be in the bad tier. He is not ready. His club Flamengo is very upset. Which this is going to be an interesting kind of like novella, because you have the club calling out the federation, and I wonder how the federation is going to respond. It's not going to be nice because, I mean, it's a lose-lose for Beccacece, because you either play Plata and risk him getting hurt, where the club is really not going to like that, or I should say even more hurt, or you don't play him and you'll get questioned to why you called up a player that you knew you were running the risk of not playing. This just kind of sheds a little bit of light on how the manager's decision making has been, outside of the tactical aspect, which should matter the most. But last list he had Guagua on the list, and if you remember, the player suffered psychologically from that, and I don't know if Beccacece ever did anything about that. I'm sure he did, but he never publicly said it. He just kind of washed it away. And now you have more controversy where a club is going after your decision. So I don't know, just adding more headaches to the federation. Anyways, I have Yeboah on the good tier. We have Plata that isn't 100%, and we know that in a good day, Yeboah can be very dangerous. And he is a player that I was a little surprised to see him call up. I didn't think he would necessarily be a guaranteed one after the social media posts and Arroyo and Sarmiento involvement and this and that. But I think that Yeboah can benefit from this call up a lot, and if he gets minutes and shows some goodness on the field, I think it's going to be important for him, and mainly because his club did get relegated from Italy, so he is most likely going to be looking for first division football, and this call up and getting some playing time will be key for him. John Mercado and Daniel Castillo will go down as mid players. They still are trying to consolidate themselves in the team, still trying to make that impact, and until that comes, they'll be mid for now. Lastly, we have Nilson Angulo, which I actually have as a good tier player. He just skyrocketed with Anderlecht, with the playing time, with the starting, and we need that kind of freshness in the team and the roster. And I know that I think I had him for the last call-up list for my wish list, but he wasn't there, and it's good to see Beccacece actually made a right decision on this one. And for more strangeness from Beccacece, let's end off with the strikers here. Ender Valencia, it's going to be tough because of his injury, I would probably put him in mid, but because there's literally nobody on this list that can replace him, he'll be as good. Kevin Rodriguez, that basically doesn't do anything for anybody, for club, country. He is unfortunately a bad player. And Campana, who according to New England Revolution is injured, and the federation knows that, he still got called up. Supposedly he's continuing his treatment here. I guess Beccacece thinks he'll be available. I'm not too big on him. I don't think he'll have the impact that everybody wants him to have, obviously, but we'll have to wait and see. But for me, I don't know. I think when we're missing call-ups like Julio and maybe even Jordi Caicedo, I'm gonna put Campana as bad. So that's my tier list for this list. Obviously there's gonna be some good, some bad. The bad obviously being the players that get consistently called up without merit, who just seem to have a special relationship with the manager and he doesn't want to let them go for some reason. And I just hope that ultimately this doesn't bring some sense of entitlement to being on the team. I think eventually we have to go back to merit based and call up who deserves to be there. But we also see some good. I didn't want to end off in the bad note. We see some good because at least he didn't leave out Dani Cabezas or Valle, players that deserve to be there. We see new faces like Brian Ramirez. It's always good to see new faces. We also have Nilson Angulo, who probably should have been there in the last couple of games, but wasn't there and is here now. So I think that that's a big plus. And we see the young prospects still being called up like Medina and Castillo. So that's really good. I think that that's kind of the positivity that I want to leave with. To end the video, I'll be sharing my starting lineup versus Brazil. Assuming that everybody gets to the game fit and healthy, I want to have Galindez in goal, a line of 3 in the back with Ordóñez, Pacho, and Hincapié. As a right wing back, Preciado. 2 center defensive mids, Franco and Caicedo. As a left wing back, Pervis. As a center attacking mid, Vite. As a right wing, Yeboah, and on the left, Minda, and obviously as a striker, the GOAT, Ener Valencia.